Hello, my name is Roman Ginjihashvili, and this DVD about latest developments and latest interesting novelties in Nimzo, India. This DVD is based on games in last 2 years. Some very good players. There are some of my games played on the internet, and I mention it almost in every video when I show my game. That means it's the game that I understand best why to do it, and I try to present it in a way that it can be easily understood by you. So we're going to touch various different variations of Nimzo Indian, and when I show you the games between masters or grandmasters, I will have theoretical input on it as well. What I mean by theoretical input is when I show the game that you better understand why some move was made and where is the main theory ends, where novelty starts, and the purpose of it. I will have to have some theoretical input. It's mostly games, partially some interesting theoretical observations. So let's start from one of my games that I played on the internet. There are not too many of my games I want to show. And now d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4. This is basically, this whole DVD, basically for black. What I would recommend to play on certain variation for black, and how black played well, because focus on it for black. In the future, we're going to make the same thing for white, but here, from black's perspective only, whole DVD. And variation I want to touch is A3. A3 is very old variation. It was extremely popular at one time, and it was almost considered as the best way to play against Nimzo Indian. Then it became less popular, and lately it's coming back. Well, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, b6. This is one of the possible variations. It's not the main variation. Main variation is c5, but I strongly recommend b6, and I have played number of games with b6 in past. After b6, f3, that's a normal move, intending to play e4. That's why white wanted black to take on c3 quickly to establish pawn advantage in the center. So after f3, bishop a6, e4, knight c6. I gotta tell you that this is very well known theoretical position. And main move here, bishop g5, but I had bishop d3 quite often. Idea is understandable because black is intending knight a5, and that's exactly what was played. And now queen e2 to make sure queen stays on e2, protecting pawn, and it doesn't have to go to a4. If bishop wasn't on d3, then white would have to go queen a4. So queen e2, queen c8, and e5. After knight g8, f4. Now this is not a new position. And since I like to experiment on ICC, sometimes I deliberately make not the best move. The best move in this position is actually after f4, knight e7, knight f3. The best move in this position is c5. And this has been played by me. Actually, it's a very interesting continuation, by far the best. I didn't play this move. c5 idea is to take on d4 and take pawn on c4. White played d5 in one of the games. This is not the game I want to show you now. I'm going to show you a game where I played queen b7 in this position. And I will explain why I knowingly making not the best move. After c5, if white goes d5, which they did in a couple of games, this is very bad because black plays ed, cd, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3. It's counterintuitive. It looks like why would black undouble white's pawns? There is a good reason why. Because after c4, black is winning. The reason why queen has no good squares. Queen has to retreat, at the same time keep protecting the d5 pawn. Queen d4 and queen d2 both out of question because of knight b3 fork. That leaves queen d1 and queen e4. On queen e4, queen b7 simply wins the central pawn on d5, and on queen d1 there is a powerful knight b3 move attacking rook, and rook has two squares. This is old variation. On rook a2, black gets huge advantage after knight takes d5, and if queen takes d5, it's interesting windmill by black's knight. So black is going to take on c1, attacking rook, and after rook moves, give check on d3 and take on f4. With this crusade, black wins 2 pawns and has absolutely winning position. So, and if white goes rook b1 instead of rook a2, then quite interesting move, queen b7 attacking d5 pawn, which cannot be protected, and at the same time white cannot play d6 because of queen e4 check, winning the rook on b1. So this was all well known, and that's what makes c5 move very strong. However, I played queen b7. I played quite strong player, and the reason why I played queen b7, I wanted white to play bishop e4. When white played bishop e4, I went back queen c8. And here is the reason behind it. I don't really want to draw, because I never want to draw when I play on the internet, because they are training games and you gain nothing by drawing quickly. And if white went bishop d3, I would have continued c5. And bishop d3 may be the best move here, after queen c8. However, my opponent interpreted it differently. He interpreted that I want to make a draw. If bishop d3, I will come back and it will be draw. And so he played knight d2. But after knight d2, this is why I wanted to show you this game. After knight d2, there is d5, e takes d, c takes d, bishop takes a8, queen takes a8, and castling. Position is very, very bad for white. White has extra exchange. They definitely gonna lose pawn on d5, and black is gonna have complete domination on the light squares. So what happened after white's castle, black castle? White makes attempt to develop the bishop from a3, since knight on d2 that protects c4 pawn blocks white's bishop, and after a4, queen c8, attacking the c4 pawn, rook f2, knight takes c4, knight takes c4, bishop takes c4, queen f3. White has minimal material advantage, and black has huge positional advantage. So after bishop d5, now I want to go through this part very quickly because moves are not as important as the plan. You stay within the plan, and there are several different ways to get there. Queen g3. Now we want to totally suffocate the bishop on c1 and eliminate any kind of f5 possibility. So f5, bishop a3, queen d7, and after rook c1, rook c8. Then what happened now? A4 pawn is hanging, bishop c4 may be coming with knight d5. Black has absolutely winning positional advantage, and I went on winning. I'm just showing you this is from the positional standpoint. This is the blockade in the best way. Best blockade you can see. Blockade is very valuable when you have bishops of opposite colors. And black's pawn formation completely smothering white's dark square bishop. This is absolutely nightmare position. Now, as you know, I continuously do researches in various different opening variations. Here is more about a3 variation of Nimzo Indian, and I'm going to show you now novelty that I was amazed that was never discovered and was never played before. Besides the knight c6 and b6 variation, besides b6 with a plan of bishop a6, knight c6, there is a move that's not been played that often, but there were quite a few games, knight e4. The idea of this move is that white cannot play f3 because of queen h4 check, obviously. So, and the most popular move in this position is queen c2. Queen c2 is not because white wants to protect c3 pawn. c3 pawn is immune anyway because black cannot take after queen c2, they're going to lose the knight. But queen c2 is the idea to attack the knight and make black play f5, which may be a weakening move. Queen c2 is by far the most popular move. And after queen c2, f5, now e3, and theoretical move b6. The idea is to, on bishop d3, to play bishop b7. Well, here what I want to tell you. Bishop d3, and every game that was played with this position, everyone was playing bishop b7. There was no option for black. I mean, there was option, but No different option was chosen. Well, in this position, I went to careful analysis and I used all the engines I could use, and interesting revelation. This position is already better for black. After bishop b7, white scored well in those games. However, bishop a6 changes everything. After bishop a6, white has no equality. Bishop a6, knight e2. That's the best move. Now let's see the options. The options are, what if white plays f3? On f3 we can go check, is one option, but it's rather complicated. After g3, knight takes g3, queen f2, f4, and knight e2. I don't really want to go into this, although this position after knight a5 is very, very playable for black. What I like though after f3 is to go knight d6, and in my opinion it's simply big problems for white with the c4 pawn, and a3 wasted tempo now is very well identified. So f3 is not, well, what to play then? On knight f3, black is going to go knight c6 and continue knight a5. Maybe the castling first. So in this position, there is no really good options. Knight e2, knight c6. This is analysis. Castling. Bishop takes c4, fe. Again, f3 will be always met with knight d6. White is in trouble here. After knight f4, which is not much of improvement, will be the same. So bishop takes c4, fe, queen takes c4, bishop takes c4, and after rook e1, queen f6. Black has very big advantage here. f3, d5. That's the way my game developed, one of the games I played. And after queen g4, e5. Black is clearly having big advantage. After e5, bishop d2, rook a to e8. I don't think it's important to go to the end of the game. You see that black is positionally very well placed. Bishop on c4, domination on light squares, advantage in development, and much better placed pieces. Black has a huge advantage. So now my question is, when people play bishop b7, and every game that was played, I searched the database, every game was played with bishop b7, I was amazed that no one even thought about bishop a6. a3 is wasted time, queen on c2, and pawn on e4 is absolutely not important. Winning this pawn is not a great idea for white. And the reason why taking on e4 is such a bad idea, reason that we can go knight c6, and here I would assume what was missed by black. Black missed this variation when they play bishop b7. I'm sure people had an idea for bishop a6, but they didn't like bishop takes and queen takes, and after knight c6, d5. If not d5, black simply takes on e4, on c4, and has big advantage. But what was missed, apparently, is queen f6 move. This is the move that completely refutes white's idea of bishop takes c4 and d5. Now c3 pawn is hanging. And just for you to take a look what may happen here. c3 pawn is hanging, meaning the rook is hanging on a1. And there are two ways to protect, by playing knight e2 or bishop d2. And they are both very bad. On bishop d2, I mean, we can even castle here, attacking f2 pawn. And if white takes, then after queen takes f2, it's total devastation. And after knight e2, what we can do is we can simply play knight a5, attacking c4 as planned, and after de, now white has two extra pawns, and they can take third on d7. But black has totally winning advantage here. They're going to play bishop takes c4, f2 pawn is hanging, and all white's position collapsing absolutely. I'm not going to be explaining this position, but if you spend several minutes of your own time, you will be quickly convinced that this is absolutely disastrous position for white. So this small tactics enables black to play bishop a6, and honestly I don't know how can white equalize here, if there is any way. There isn't. Now one more variation I would like to show you here. When we just played b6, white can go f3 right away, and then we have to play queen h4 check. And after queen h4, I like position for black very much. g3, knight takes g3. This is all forced, queen f2. Now, in order not to lose the knight on g3, we have to go f4. And now we are intending to play knight f5 and get big advantage. So white plays knight e2. We go knight f5. And white has to get the pawn back. Knight takes f4. And I looked at this position. The more I looked, the more I liked. White has strong center. Queens will come off the board. White has strong center. Two bishops. But I like better black position. Knight c6, for example, on e4. We simply take the queen and go knight f to e7. What we're going to do here, we're going to simply castle for black, go bishop a6, knight a5. Maybe we go bishop a6, knight a5 first. And then we're going to have the f file as well. White's center is absolutely ineffective, and their pawn weaknesses are very noticeable. I don't like the white's position here. And this is about it. I just showed you the game that I played, and I got winning position, and I just showed you a little bit of analysis. Make a conclusion yourself. Knight e4, again, is the way to go, I think, in the A3 variation, and it's very interesting novelty with bishop d3, bishop a6. I want once more to repeat the tactics that was most probably missed by every player that played this variation. Queen f6. Have they seen this, they would definitely have played bishop a6. So this is something for you to remember and possibly use in any of your future. Now I want to show you one more of my games, and after which we're gonna look at the games played by very strong players in a tournament. This game was exact copy to the certain point of my game from international tournament in Canada in 1988. Knight c3, bishop b4, e3, and I played c5 and knight e2. Now, c takes d, e takes d, I'm black again. Now, castle, a3, this is all opening theory, bishop e7, d5, ed, cd, rook e8. This is the best move. And one of the possible continuations here is bishop e3. Now, game that I played in 1988, I lost. I got big advantage in a game, and I know where I messed up. So I repeated this game against one quite strong grandmasters on the internet just very recently, less than a month ago. And we got to the position where I had advantage and messed up. And I played a newer move, better move, and got winning position, and I ended up winning the game. So here is what happened, bishop e3. And here, absolutely a great maneuver. Well, it's part of the theory as well. Knight g4, bishop d4, and knight h6. This is the key maneuver of all opening variation. Knight is heading towards f5. After knight h6, white plays queen d3, disallowing knight f5. And on the queen d3, I went d6. That's how my other game continued as well. Knight g3. You see that we don't have very useful discovered checks, so I went knight d7, bishop e2, knight c5. Every move played by white is very, very logical. Queen c2, bishop f6. Now, if bishops exchanged, white can't stop knight f5, and black is going to have very comfortable position. So, white plays bishop e3. After bishop e3, I go knight g4, bishop d4, bishop d2, and now bishop d4. In this position, white is almost forced to castle, and now knight takes h2. That's the game, that's the position I got in game in 1988. King takes h2. I don't know if my opponent in this game saw this coming, but queen h4 check, king g1, queen takes g3, and now white plays knight b5, and black has the only move where they maintain advantage. And I played that move in both games, queen b3. But after queen c4, that was played in both of my games. In the game that I lost, I took on c4, and later on I had a problem with knight takes d6 or knight c7, and I couldn't manage proper defense. And I played this game again, and I found a continuation, bishop takes b2, that gives black sizable advantage. After bishop takes b2, rook b1 was played. Actually, we don't have to see the game that I lost because I played incorrectly there. That's the only correct way to play. After rook b1, queen takes c4, bishop takes c4, bishop e5, knight c7. Now bishop f5 attacking rook, rook b4, and I played simply rook f8. I wanted my opponent to take the rook right now. Knight takes a8, rook takes a8, and this position where black has 2 pawns and a knight for a rook, and they have very well placed bishops in the center, and I'm convinced that white is in trouble here. Actually, that's what happened. 8-4, now bishop d7, and after bishop b5, a5, rook b1, bishop f5. Now white rook on b1 is simply trapped, and what happened is bishop c6, rook a6, bishop b5, rook a7, and bishop c6 back. Black has an extra pawn, black has an advantage, and we don't have to see development of whole game, and I went on winning the position. Very, very interesting continuation. That's why it's very important to analyze your games, especially the games you lost, because it looks like if you lost the game, your future opponents may go for the same position. And here, where I misplayed the game and I lost. Well, I supposed to play bishop takes b2, where I would have gotten a big advantage. So now I want to show you one very, very interesting game played. This is very instructive, played by Peter Swidler, and Swidler was black. d4, he played against some strong master. Knight f6, strong I am. c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, e3, castles, and a3. Now that's not the move I like to play for white, and I don't like the idea behind a3 move. a3 move earlier makes sense, because if black takes, white has an idea of playing f3 on e4 quickly. However, if you're already playing e3, that means you cannot play f3 and e4 quickly. And after castling, when you go a3, you are already kind of starting with the tempo down. I believe white went for it because black castled. Now they thought after bishop d3 and e4 they will get direct attack on black's king very quickly. But here is what happened. b6, and after b6, knight e2, bishop a6. Svidler went the same plan we played. Knight g3, knight c6, e4, but instead of knight a5, which could have given white a very strong initiative after bishop g5, here black played very, very good move. And this is also something that for you to learn. Actually, I saw the same maneuver in a different position on Nimzo, played, believe it or not, in 1953, more than half century ago. It was played in a Geller and Smyslov game. Smyslov played knight e8 to avoid white's pawn storm, and knight is going to d6. Same idea we used in a previous variation where we played knight e4 and we went knight d6. So knight e8 prevents bishop g5 pin and intends knight d6. Queen a4, knight a5, and now white goes c5. They realize that knight d6 is a very serious threat, and something like e5 will be met with d6 or c5, so they decide to play c5 and get rid of their double pawns. Bishop takes f1, knight takes f1, and now d6. Black blows up white's center, and white's pieces on king's side are very strangely placed. King on e1 and rook on h1, an original position, and knight between them on f1. After d6, c takes b. I don't like Svidler's choice, c takes b. I analyze this position. More natural, of course, is a takes b. But Svidler wanted, this makes sense. He wants to get c file quickly. But I think a5 would have been more important. However, c takes b is good. And all of a sudden, white plays h4. This is inconsistent play. You just played c5 with white. That means you want to eliminate your weaknesses, and you gave up on attack. Now you eliminated your weakness, and instead of completing development, you're going h4. Where are you going? And there is no attack. It's very inconsistent play, and great response by black. f5. You cannot start attack when you have 5 pieces on the first rank. This is wake-up call. This is what I was when I was lecturing for 13 or 1400 players. Don't attack before you mobilize and develop all your pieces. This is the lecture was for 1300. In this case, we give this lecture to international master with a great experience. f5, and that's a wake-up call. E takes f, e takes f. Now files are opened. Bishop g5, queen c8, rook h3, protecting c3 pawn, f4, trapping bishop, and now the game is practically over. There is nothing white can do. Knight d2, h6, queen d1. There is a daring attempt on HG to play HG, go Queen H5, but of course it's not doable. Rook F5, G4, F takes G, Rook takes, and White could have resigned already. And after Knight C7, a couple of moves were played and White is a piece down, and they lost the game. It's very instructive. So if you, first of all, I don't like the A3 in the early stage of the game. I don't like the F3 follow A3, E3 followed by A3. Although this is theoretical continuations, but theory, we know that theory has been wrong on multiple occasions. So why play something that does not fit into main principles of the game, and it does not work with the main idea of the opening? And that's exactly what happened in this game. Here is the game that is very, very interesting from theoretical standpoint and from standpoint for home preparation for certain variation. Well, this game was beautifully won by White. But what I already mentioned, that this DVD is entirely for Black. Black just completely got crushed, and player with Black was Grandmaster. And I'm showing this for a reason, this game. I selected, by the way, the several games that I'm showing you on this DVD out of hundreds and hundreds of Nimzo Indian games played in the last couple of years. This is highly interesting games, and I want to show you what you should avoid. C4, E6, Knight C3, Bishop B4, Knight F3, C5, G3, C takes D, Knight takes D4, Knight E4. Very well-known theoretical position. Hundreds, maybe thousands of games on it. And evaluation was always, for all these years, kept swinging from equal to White's advantage to Black's advantage. And the main move always was Queen D3. However, now White lately started playing Queen C2 based on one very interesting innovation. Queen C2, Queen A5, and there were already games like this. Bishop G2, Knight takes C3, and now Castle. Now this is a strange way to play for White, but because the knight is hanging, there is no way of keeping this knight alive. So in this position, the best known move is Knight C6. B takes C, Bishop takes C3. This is all theory. Knight B3, Knight D4. I believe that White does not have advantage in this position. In fact, White is a pawn down. They have good compensation for a pawn, but should be only enough for equality. After Rook B1, this is one of the most instructive positions I have seen um, in my recent years. After rook b1, black played castling. And this is a bad mistake. Now you can tell me, when white has initiative, why can and how castling can be a mistake. Obviously, black was prepared for bishop takes b7. They can go rook b8, and they probably even a little bit better here after rook takes b1 and rook takes c8. They have great position. But why castling is a mistake? Why castling is a mistake? Because unexpectedly, out of nowhere, white is coming up with devastating attack. Rook d1, and black quickly played bishop c5. When we see the game, I will show you how this could have been avoided. And now, there is no turning back. Everything from now on turns disastrous for black. Rook b5, queen c7. There is no way black could have predicted it when they played castle. However, it was home preparation, white in this position. Bishop f4, e5, and highly effective rook takes c5, queen takes c5, and the rook d5. Now, queen has to move. Queen b4, bishop takes e5, and after bishop takes e5, rook e8. Now, the problem is how to develop queenside for black. Black is up in exchange, but they have huge problem with development. And here is why. After rook e8, white played inaccurate move. After rook e8, they played bishop e4. However, after bishop c3, this may be winning by force for white. Bishop c3 was not played. Now, here is the possible variation. Queen takes c4. Now rook g5, attacking g6. g6, bishop d5. All of a sudden, all white's pieces, they are tormenting black's king. After bishop d5, queen a6, queen f5, attacking f7. Everything is forced. Rook e6, trying to give up an exchange back. But, of course, white is not taking, but going queen f4, attempting queen d4. And after queen f4, it's a forced win. There is queen b6, trying to stop queen d4. And then bishop takes e6. Now, if queen takes, there will be rook e5 with a mate on e8. And if pawn takes, we don't need to analyze this. Queen f6 or maybe queen e5. Queen e5 probably even better. This is completely disastrous. So what can be done here? After bishop f4, there is nothing can be done. Every move is forced. After e5, might have been d6, but after rook takes c5, queen takes c5, and bishop takes d6, this position too is absolutely horrible for black. Nothing could have been done. So root of mistake was castling. However, black is okay here. They should have played bishop c5, now rook d1, and now, of course, no castle because we're going to get the same position. And now, after rook d1, black simply plays queen c7. And they are absolutely safe because on queen c7, if white goes now rook b5 with the idea of bishop f4, we have valuable tempo. We can go d6, and none of that is possible. Black here actually has an advantage. So queen c7, here is the mistake. This is one of those mistakes that you cannot be blamed for. The only blame I will put on black that they went to this variation and they believed in this variation, which I would believe too. And I would have made the same mistake because when I looked at this position, I believe white has a compensation and there is not more for a draw maybe. But I would have probably castled short as well. However, the queen c7 was the only correct response. Then, well, sometimes we are not saved against these unexpected developments. So castling was practically the losing move. And everything goes to hell after rook takes c5 and rook d5. Two bishops, rook and a queen, develop dangerous blow to white's king, and black loses nearly by force. So very instructive game. Now I want to present you two very interesting games, and both of them they were playing by Chinese grandmasters against each other in a Aeroflot tournament in Moscow. The theme of both games is value of initiative in a couple of different variations of Nimzo Indian, and how much is worth a pawn. Well, it's a lot easier to evaluate compensation for a rook, for a queen, because you're looking there, because compensation for big sacrifices such as rook or piece or queen strictly depend on concrete variation and on direct attack. Sacrifice of a pawn very often depends on long-term initiative and future possibilities, because it's a small material sacrifice and a lot more difficult to evaluate. Let's go through those games. Both grandmasters in this game are rated high 2500s in FIDE rating. So we have quite strong players. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, f3, c5. d5, this is of course a theory, b5, e4, b takes c, bishop takes c4, and here, interesting move, knight takes d5. This is part of a theory, and knight should be taken with the bishop. That's what happened, because if pawn takes, there is simple queen h4 check, followed by queen takes c4. So white played bishop takes d5, ed, queen takes d5, knight c6, knight ge2, bishop a6. Black's pieces are very active. But here is the problem in black's position. Castling, rook d1. White has very strong square on d5 in possession and very weak pawn on d7. That black intends in the future to sacrifice. They cannot play passively trying to defend d7 pawn. That will give white big advantage. So after rook d1, bishop a5 was played. Idea knight b4 and knight d3, and of course pawn cannot be taken on c5. And after bishop a5, position is unclear, but let me give you another opportunity. Rook b8 was interesting move, and after queen takes d7, queen h4, and on king g1 there is simply rook b to d8, and black is doing okay, because now on queen takes c6, unexpectedly white is getting mated. So this cannot be played. King g1 is not a playable move, but after knight g3, it's double-edged position, and it's very, very unclear. Well, that was possibility. However, bishop a5 was played, as I already mentioned, and error by white. Well, this is the climax of the position. So in next 3-4 moves, or 5 moves maybe, position will be very easy to evaluate. So in next 3-4 moves, you have to see white winning pawn and stabilizing position, which makes whole evaluation of all this position to white's favor, or black develops powerful initiative. So value of the move is very, very high. Bishop g5 was played, which is an error. Correct move was queen takes d7. And after queen h4 check, knight g3. And after knight d4, knight d5. Well, it's not really clear what black has. They have these bishops on a6 and a5, but there is no piece that can support those bishops' activity. h2 pawn cannot be taken, of course, and very difficult to develop initiative. This should have been played. But after bishop g5, queen b6, and rook a to b1, black played rook fe8, and black is doing just fine here. Bishop e3, and actually I like black much better now. After knight b4, queen d6. In this position, black made a big error. They played f5. I understand their desire to open position. Pawn on f5 cannot be taken. That's what they thought. Anyway, because there will be possibly knight d3 check, bishop on e3 will be hanging. f5 is not correct move. Here was missed absolutely great opportunity for black. A very difficult move. I don't think any of the chess player, even top chess player today, can find this move. However, the move is very powerful, and most difficult to find moves are very quiet moves. And the move I'm talking about is queen to d8, that gives great position to black. Pawn on d7 cannot be taken because after knight d3, white has to take on d3, not to lose the queen, and bishop takes d3. They simply losing material with no compensation. Therefore, king has to be moved. In this position, there is threat of rook e6 or maybe even c4 with the idea of knight d3. King f1, interesting option. Now bishop c7. Queen takes c5 cannot be taken. It's very dangerous. That's why I said queen d8 move is very difficult to evaluate. I got great kick out of this game, out of the analysis of this game. Now after rook b8 and idea bishop b6 or knight d3, white has multiple problems I don't think they can solve. After queen takes d7, so they don't play queen takes c5 where we play rook b8, but they go queen takes d7, suppose. Then on queen takes d7, what should we do to show our initiative? We can go simply bishop d3. We're attacking rook and we're attacking white's queen. If white takes, rook takes, you see black has tremendous initiative. Now on rook c1, I don't know, they can go f5, or they may be able to support c4 with the idea of knight c2. They have two great bishops, and they only sacrificed one pawn. This would have been the good option, very good option for black. Black, however, failed, and it's understandable that black failed. So what they did, white played bishop g5, and after queen b6, rook a b1, rook fe8 was played, and bishop e3. Knight b4, queen d6. That's where queen d8 was so powerful. But after f5, white played another error. And position is so tensed and so complicated that errors are very natural here. They went a3. The correct move was knight f4. And after queen takes d6, rook takes d6, bishop on a6 may be in trouble after a3. And simply if black plays fe, that doesn't solve their problem because white can simply go fe. d3 square is covered and white has extra pawn, and none of the squares in a white's position are accessible for black's pieces. That would have been correct, but white failed to do that. They went a3, and here is the final mistake. Bishop takes e2. This is probably the losing move because knight takes e2, and on queen takes d6, rook takes d6. Now after knight c2, bishop takes c5, and on rook c8, bishop takes a7. Black lost several pawns and they lost the game quickly after that. So what was black's option? After a3, they shouldn't have played bishop takes e2. The correct continuation, queen takes d6, rook takes d6, knight d3 check, king g1. Of course black saw it, but they see the bishop on a6 is hanging and all they have problems. But now bishop b6, and after rook takes d7, knight e5, and after rook d1 fe, this is actually where two bishops may be a good commodity. Bishop takes e2, and now black has an advantage. Knight takes e2, and simply knight g4, and rook takes e4. Black even has some advantage here. So what does it teach us? Why did I bring this game? So what, am I expecting you to calculate all this far and to see all these complications? No. Nobody is expecting it from any human being. However, whatever is already known, you can get used and learn something from any game at all. From bad game, how not to play, from good game, how to play, from complicated game and very messy. That means you learn that this position is very messy. Maybe I should analyze it before I go for it. Or if I have inconclusive analysis, then I shouldn't play it until they become clear. That's what you learn from it. From any position that you see complicated, don't go for it unless you already know analysis or have very strong belief in evaluating this position. That's the use from the games. That's what you learn from the games. So now we go to the second game. And this game is the key. Very interestingly conducted game by white. And very interesting result. Game was d4. By the way, game played between Grandmaster Wang with black, very well-known player, one of the top players in the world, and with the black is Grandmaster Yu. Very high-level game and very interesting development in the very early stage of the game. c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, knight f3, c5, g3, and black here played a rather unorthodox, unusual move, knight c6. Normally, moves are either cd and knight e4, followed by queen a5, or queen a5 right away without cd. In this game, black chose to play knight c6, after bishop g2 and knight e4, bishop d2, knight takes d2, queen takes d2, c takes d, knight takes d4, and queen b6. They were concretely prepared for this game after knight b3, a5, trying to play a4, and very interesting response by white, c5. That's a pawn sacrifice that has to be accepted, because on queen c7, white would go a3, forcing black to take the knight, and black is going to have number of very serious problems here. So black has to accept this pawn sacrifice after bishop takes c5, knight takes c5, queen takes c5, and obviously knight e4. Next couple of moves are absolutely forced. Queen has to move and knight is coming to d6. Both players went for it, and after knight d6 check, king went to e7 and castle for white. Obviously, black has no choice but to exchange the queens, because otherwise queen will go to g5. So they have to take the queen, rook takes d2, and here is the position both sides went for. White has very strong initiative. They have very strong compensation for a pawn. They're going to go rook d1 and continue pressing in the center. At the same time, black has almost no weaknesses. Their king is not in trouble in its center because there are no queens on board. And position is highly, highly important. After rook takes d2, rook b8 was played. It's understandable black wants to push b5, and rook b8 is a credible move. Rook h to d1. That's where game becomes very, very interesting and very important. And let me bring it out to you, the continuations in this game. So after rook h to d1, black played knight e5. That was the idea of rook b8, to make sure b7 pawn is protected. And after some hesitation, white played h3. What is the idea behind knight e5 move? It's a very interesting move because black says they are ready for f4 and they will go knight g4, and we'll look at it in a moment. So white played h3, preparing f4 and eliminating knight g4. But then black plays, after h3, they play b5. Now, let's see the developments of this game. White did not play f4, because on f4, knight goes to g4, and knight e3 is a threat. And if white plays b3, then black has knight e3. b3 is not a move, and what can otherwise white do? So after f4 and knight g4, e4 is a possibility, but then knight e3. And all of a sudden we see that rook has to move from the d file, and black is going to be here absolutely. Here they are simply winning. Rook has to go to g1, protecting the g2 bishop in order to play rook takes g2. But then initiative is kind of disappearing from white. Black is going to go bishop a6, maybe rook b6, and they have rather good position. So white plays h3. After h3, black goes b5, white goes b3, preventing knight c4, and now they are ready to play f4. But black goes f6, and white makes here critical mistake. Mistake is bishop e4 move. I don't quite understand the idea behind bishop e4. A lot stronger was king b2. White still has sufficient initiative for a pawn. Rook d8, This position is highly important. It's very important position for both sides. Well, when white plays b3 here, they say they are ready to go f4, and if knight moves, they can take on c8. Well, they are ready to play f4, and any move of the knight would take on c8, take on d7. Big advantage for white. But after f6, situation changes quite a bit. Now f4 move, black simply moves to f7, and knight takes c8 will be met by rook takes c8 check, and black gets the tempo to protect the d pawn on the next move. So white plays king b2, intending to play f4. And now after king b2, in this position, game, it's supposed to be played anyway, game becomes very interesting. Bishop e4, absolutely senseless move. King b2 should have been played, and possible variation, rook d8, rook c1. White has to play this position extremely accurate and precise moves. The reason why I brought this game to you is to show you that this pawn sacrifice is possible, and everything depends, the value of every move here, very, very important. And here, after rook c1, knight f7, for example, knight takes f7, king takes f7, rook c7. Still, white doesn't have concrete target here, but they have tremendous initiative. a4, b4. Now b pawn may be weak later, and after g6, g4. Now this position, I would say, actually, I wouldn't say anything. I rather black to say how they evaluate position. Very difficult to assess. I would say it's about dynamic equality, although black has an extra pawn. Black does not have big concrete weaknesses that white can attack. On the other hand, it's not clear how black can untie themselves. So I wouldn't know how exactly to evaluate this position, but if you want to do research and do further analysis and detailed analysis, this is the position to do it in, and you can aim for it. And this is the way game's supposed to develop. However, king b2 was not played, and bishop e4 move was played. It's a senseless move, and after this, I think white is by force getting in trouble. Knight f7, knight takes f7, king takes f7, rook c2, and f5. We get almost the same position, but black gets number of tempos, and this becomes decisive. And after bishop f3, here is the tempo they played for. Now they went d5, and after d5, rook c7, king f6. You can compare this position to the position they could have gotten. So this is very important. This is what you do to evaluate the position. Or they could have gotten with king b2, they could have gotten this position, rook d8, now rook c1, and after knight f7, knight takes f7, king takes f7, rook c7. Now d pawn doesn't move. White plays f4 next move and makes black's play very, very difficult. It's very difficult for black to play d5 ever in this game. If they go d5, they have to play, they want to go d5, they have to play king e8. But on king e8, d5 still not possible because g7 pawn is handy. So that's what white missed. By playing bishop e4, they are not able to achieve this. After bishop e4, knight f7, knight takes f7, king takes f7, and when they played rook c2, f5, and on bishop f3, d5, you see the d pawn that's supposed to stay on d7, it's already on d5, and after rook c7 check, king f6, and rook a7, a4 was played by black, and king b2. Now, accepting this pawn and winning this a pawn will still give black big advantage. Now, rook has to move somewhere, then rook c8 check, and you see black is clearly better. So this was not played for white, but maybe it should have been played, because what white played after a4, they went king b2, ab, ab. They are still hoping to get enough initiative. But after rook d8, black is clearly better. Rook c1, bishop d7, rook c2, c7, now king e7. That's it. White achieved what they played for, activity. And now they can't improve position. Now after king e7, e3, king d6 was played, very well played game by black. After e3, king d6, bishop e2, b4. Now black, I could say black simply has healthy extra pawn for very questionable initiative. f4 was played, and after f4, rook b6. Black is 100% safe, and they have an extra pawn. After h4, g6 was played. A few moves of unimportant. Well, after bishop d3, I think white is lost here because they are down a pawn, no visible compensation. Rook c6, rook cb7, and rook c3. Black went on winning this game and proving that accepting pawn turned very well for them. And again, once more, I want to go back to the critical position, which is here when white played bishop e4. This move very much interferes with normal development of the game and a logical outcome. Again, king b2 is the idea, king b2, with a serious threat of f4. Now, any f4, the threat is, for example, just to show you, we made neutral move for black, h5. And after knight f7, knight takes bishop, and rook takes d7 check. You see, white's king is not on c1. And when black plays natural move, rook d8, then we go rook c1. And we are preparing for very, very important move. After knight f7, knight takes f7. And the important part here that black cannot play rook b6 because bishop is hanging on c8. So after knight f7, we take on f7 and we play rook c7 just on time to tie up the d7 pawn. And as always in chess, when you play the game, you sacrifice pawn for a long-term initiative. That's exactly what we have now. It's important to make accurate moves in order to maintain this balance of initiative. And here, black cannot go d5, nor they will ever be able to go d5. Now, as far as the evaluation of this position, I have difficulties to say whether, well, a4 has to be played because to prevent rook a7, they go a4 before, while the a pawn is not hanging. And here, it's very difficult to say how black is going to untie themselves. So, is pawn sacrifice valid in this position? Absolutely it is. It's double-edged and it's very important. Unfortunately, white played bishop e4 move in a critical position. And it's not b3 f6 and here bishop e4. I am going to this position 3-4 times over and over just to show you how important it is. This is the critical position of whole variation maybe, because after king b2, this what evaluation of this position is supposed to depend on. Does white have enough initiative? I would say yes. Whether white has advantage or not, it has to be analyzed a little more thoroughly. So, very interesting game to pay close attention to. Now I want to show you a game played between two French grandmasters. One of them is Eugene Bacrot, and with the black plays semi-retired French grandmaster, also used to be very strong player, Olivier René. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4. What attracted me to this game very much, that we get the position where price of every move is extremely high because position is highly unbalanced and each move can make a difference between winning and losing. So let's get to the game. After knight f3, black played b6 variation, and after b6, bishop g5, h6, bishop h4. Well, one of the continuations is bishop b7, very popular, probably the most popular. Bishop b7, and with various different possibilities, e3, bishop takes c3, bc, d6, and knight d7, or even instead of taking on c3, g5, and knight e4. Well, black chose to play g5 immediately. It's a very playable variation. Bishop g3, knight e4, queen c2, bishop b7. Position is very well known. Knight d2, bishop takes c3, pawn takes c3, knight takes g3, hg, queen e7. And this position is very well known too. It's been played many, many times. And here, to my knowledge, is relatively new move. Maybe it was played once or two, but Once you see strong grandmaster playing this move, you immediately, it catches your attention. C5 is the move was played by white. Now, why is C5 played? They're going to lose a pawn, but after rook B1, we're going to get the position where black will have no side of the board they can castle, and that's what white is aiming for. But black correctly, after C5, they don't take on C5. What they much rather do, they maintain the flexible pawn structure with the possibility of the castling. Knight C6 was played, rook B1, rook B8. This is totally unnecessary move. C takes B. Well, but rook B8, it's unnecessary, but the idea why it was played because black has changed their mind. They want to take on C5 maybe next move. Now, white plays C takes B, A takes B. The result is not good for white after the opening. What did they do? They gave black much more superior position, pawn structure on the queen side. They are not ahead in development, and if black cannot castle queen side, so cannot white. I clearly prefer black in this position. E4, rook A8, and the A4. Here, I don't like black's move, king F8. Black has already announced with this move they intend to play king G7 and play in the center of the queen side. And white is absolutely clear to attack on the king side only. Maybe F4, maybe E5, but after king F8, in this position, which I don't like, white played bishop B5. Now, let me show you what I like very much in this position. I don't think white's pieces develop well enough to be prepared for action in its center. I like very much F5 move. F5, and after bishop D3, well, I don't think taking on F5 is any good because black is going to take with a check, and they can go queen F6, and white's king is after king D1 may be in trouble, and not black's. And bishop E2 may provoke black for bishop A6. Now white cannot go C4 because of D4 pawn. So this would have been a good option, and if white plays bishop D3, for example here, then Fe, bishop takes E4, and that's what I like. We evacuate our king to the queen side. And this is principal decision and highly important in these positions. Now, we don't know what white is going to do with their king. Now, let me explain something here. This is critical, and that's why I want to make it slowly to deliver to you the message. After black plays king F8, and this makes a lot of sense, white knows they have to go for attack on the king side, and they can leave the king in the center, and it's going to be no problem. King may even go to F2. They want to conduct pawn attack, F4 and E5. Now, that's where white king stands, and that's where black's king stands. After F5, situation changes. because now black's king going to the queen side, and we don't know what is white going to do with their king. It's extremely difficult for white to open any files on the queen side. Castling is by far not safe, because after h5, h4, black can quickly organize on the king side. So it's not very clear what white would do. I would evaluate this position with a clear advantage for black, mainly because there is no way white can break through on queen side. Black has a rock solid position on the queen side because of the pawn structure. f5 was not played, king f8 was played, and now bishop b5. I don't know why bishop b5. Bishop d3 sounds more logical. King g7, now g4, and f5 by black. Strangely enough, black, after misplaying it big time, now they put the king on g7 and then they go f5. They still stand well in this position. And after f5, they still have okay position, maybe better position. After e5, white played e5, very strong move. e5 pawn guarantees them solid space advantage on the king side. After e5, f takes g, knight e4. And here is the second and probably the last critical point of the game. Move that was played by black, which was rook a8 to f8. Probably the decisive move in this game. This is decisive move in this game because it allows white to play knight g3. White has very strong grip on initiative, and for the first time, I really don't like black's position. Now, we're going to go on with the game, but before we do, let's see what would I suggest. Now, it's easy to suggest right move once you know the outcome and what happened in the game. Correct move is queen f7 with the same idea of rook f8. The difference is that on knight g3 you can easily play h5 now, and white does not play knight h5 and blockades and freezes completely black's king side. So knight g3 is not even playable in this position. And after queen f7, correct move is probably knight f6. And now is the knight that stands on d7 goes to e7. And black opens the bishop, intends to go knight d5, and they go for very strong initiative. Knight h5 check, simply black plays king f8, and they are doing absolutely fine. They're going to go knight f5, bishop is open, white cannot castle because knight on h5 is hanging. If they come back with knight on f6, this knight may be exchanged, and giving a pawn on d7 is absolutely no problem, because now black has tremendous activity, and it's not clear what to do for white. Well, queen f7 should have been played, and the best attempt, I tried very hard to find some kind of a initiative for white, but after knight f6, knight e7, I tried even castling here, trying to go f3, maybe open the f files, But even after castle knight d5 and bishop takes d7 here, they can play bishop takes d7 because if black takes the knight, pawn will be taken with a check. But even after bishop takes d7, black can go simply h5. They can take on f6 later, and after h5, white goes queen e4. Now they are pinning the knight because of the bishop on b7, and after rook a7, now black has multiple threats. White has pieces, they went too far into the black's position, but in reality they create no problems. Now black wants to take on f6, they will have winning position. It's a big advantage for black. That's the way game should have been played. Black has, in this very critical position, big advantage after queen f7. But what happened after rook f8 is knight g3. Now king is evacuating. After walking all the way to the king's side, it has to walk the same way to the opposite side, bishop e2. Now they get the right idea, but it's too late. They lost. So it's amazing how black made a couple of critical mistakes. They still had a better position. And then any good position can take only so many mistakes, but black has made too many. After king e8, bishop takes g4, and king d8, knight h5, bishop a6, bishop e2, bishop takes e2, queen takes e2, queen a3, queen c2. You see that white's knight on h5 is absolutely beautiful position. It can come to f6 and completely shut black's rooks, and there is no really clear plan for black what to do. Knight e7, rook h3. White doesn't even have to castle. Now they can go c4. Next move, after rook h3, g4, rook g3, knight f5, rook takes g4, rook g8, rook takes g8, rook takes g8, g3. We don't have to go any farther because white has a better position, a better pawn structure, and solid extra pawn. Black is lost here. In my opinion, this is very important game because once you play this variation, you know this is probably, I would say, maybe the most dynamic type of position in Nimzo Indian. So g5, bishop g3, knight e4. This is one of the most dynamic positions in Nimzo, where you see that pawn structure is compromised by both sides, and there is no safe way to play this position by white or by black at any point. So that's why the price of the accurate move, value of the accurate move, extremely high. I found this game one of my most favorites, and something you can learn a lot as far as the opening goes, as far as the calculation goes, and as far as the learning how to play positions with initiative and against them. Very, very important game. So what can I say in the end as a conclusion? In order to help yourself with Nimzo Indian positions, this is one of the openings that you learn a lot while playing, because it has various different types of positions that you can learn a lot about chess. You can learn a lot about the opening itself. You're going to get yourself very good weapon against d4, and of course it goes both ways, but most importantly, you can make your own input in the theory. I do it constantly on a regular basis, almost every day. You can make your own input into modern theory, and if your novelty or your idea is not good, at least while exploring it, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to find some interesting, fascinating things. That's one of the most important tools for learning chess. And I strongly recommend you do that. Now, how to work on yourself? Take some latest games. It's a lot more helpful if you take latest games in Nimzo India, not much earlier ones, because latest games, they contain already a lot of work put into them, and also it's going to be a lot more useful for you in the upcoming tournaments. So I hope you found this lecture this lesson, this DVD, very interesting, and you have yourself very good weapon to play against d4. Thank you very much, and I'll see you very soon.